Cleveland looks interesting, man. They really do. Let's talk about it because they played the Pacers yesterday in a preseason game that I thought was a bit interesting. There were 7 games today, and I have to talk about all of them because for some reason I thought it was a smart idea to try to watch all games at the same time. Oof, nah, I'm not gonna do that again. Now, Kevin Love being in the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think is actually a good thing, and it helps them a lot. He has that playmaking ability that opens the game up for many of these players in his team. And, I think the coach and everybody else involved with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they should be wise to play Kevin Love this season in more games because you can see how the ball movement gets better, right? The rhythm of the game, the flow, it just flows better. Even with a lineup with Mobley, Love, Markkinen, that is an intriguing trio to put in a lineup, man. Honestly, I saw that coming into this game and I was like, yo, is this gonna work out? And oddly enough, it had its moments. It really did. It had its moments where I was looking at it and I was amazed. I was actually amazed. They played a 2-3 zone often with those three guys that were very imposing in the paint. And when you insert Allen instead of Love, you have an even more imposing defense in the paint. But what you lose, obviously, is that ball movement. But you also have, a tandem of either Rubio, Sexton, or Garland. And I think Rubio is going to add a lot to his team that many people are overlooking. And Sexton's been good, but I think in particular Darius Garland, this is his opportunity now to break out. He has 7 footers all over the court now that he can, pass it to, lob it to, have easy assist to where his playmaking could be developed now even further. Another player that I'm looking at that I'm quite concerned about is Seti Osman because he didn't play yesterday, and I'm not sure why. But his role in the team is in question, man. When you see guys like Windler play the way they did, man, oh my goodness, Windler with the freeze, man, he looks good. He looks good. He looks NBA ready. And Seti Osman has to think to himself, this team might trade me at some point because they look good without him. They really do. They don't look that bad. Now, obviously, the problems with the Cleveland Cavaliers is that throughout the game, you'd see them being very laxed on defense, and that would cost them the game eventually. Indiana playing well on the road and winning that game. Although it's preseason, I know people don't like to hear it, but it's important enough to have yourselves being warmed up. I think it's important to even try to win these games. Now, Brogdon, he was excellent. He was amazing. He had 27 points with 12 of 14 shooting. Okay, so if you think these teams don't really try to play during the preseason, think again, because Brogdon, he had himself a night, man. Indiana, man, it looked okay at some moments, and it looked very good at others, but it also had me thinking that they have to develop their chemistry, man. They really do. And you have a lot of new guys in this team, fresh faces from the draft like Duarte and Jackson. And you have players like Wanamaker who came in from free agency. And you're thinking to yourself, look, you need that chemistry to be developed because in order to be a play-in team or perhaps even be a lower seed playoff team, you have to have chemistry. And I think that's something the Pacers need to work on with a new coach too. That's going to be very difficult, but it's a long season, so they have time. And hopefully injuries won't affect them too much. McConnell, Wanamaker, and Brogdon, they're very key to their success, right? Those point guards are going to be very key. And with Sumner being injured and Aaron Holiday being traded, that puts more pressure on those three players to really excel. And another player that I'm going to be talking about criticizing a little bit is Jeremy Lamb. He has to play better both on and off the ball, man. There were moments where Sabonis had the ball, he was trying to pass it to Lamb. Lamb, he was trying to run, he was trying to cut, but he wasn't doing a good job, right? It ended up being turned over. Lamb, bro, there's rumors of him getting traded mid-season, and I see why, man. He just does not complement the team very well, man. He's a good shooter, he has his strengths, but he does not look good in this game. He does not look good. And I know it's preseason, but you can already see signs of Lamb being sidelined for other players like Torrey Craig and Chris Duarte, man. They look fresh. They look good. They're new faces, I know, but they look better than Jeremy Lamb. They look like they could add to this team to where it would be a good idea to trade away Jeremy Lamb and perhaps even trade away Miles Turner if they want to. Now, McConnell, there was an interesting moment because he did a shot fake, right? And the guy jumped. And so he decided to go for it, right? And the NBA now has this rule to where, depending on the nature of the shot and depending on whether or not you're leaning to the player, it could be called either a foul on the defensive player, it could be called no call, it could be called an offensive foul. And in this case, it was a defensive foul, and I think it was a good call. So it's going to be interesting to see how the referees handle these situations. Unfortunately, though, Justin Holiday did slip and he did twist his left ankle. It's sad to see because you're looking forward to guys like him playing, and obviously you still have players like Torrey Craig and Chris Duarte, but you would really love to have that guy, Justin Holiday. He's been in the team for a couple of years now. He's been acclimated, and I think he should be healthy in a couple of weeks, but still, that didn't look good. And now we have a preview of the opening night game between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks, and this game was not really a game that was worth watching in the first half, but it did get better in the second half. And although Milwaukee did rest their guys, their main stars, it still was a good game to watch towards the end. And actually, oddly enough, I think Antetokounmpo did play, but he somehow got shorter and darker. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I know that was a dumb joke. Okay, but yeah, Thanasis played. He wasn't even the best player of the team, so that says a lot, honestly. Thanasis is still gonna have his minutes, but I do think that his time in the Milwaukee Bucks might be over soon. But we'll talk about that another day because the star player for me from the Bucks was a guy whose last name is hard to pronounce, but I think I got it, guys. Mamukelashvili had himself a game with 20 points and 11 rebounds. He had two highlight dunks that I was like, damn, bro, this guy, he looking good. But he did miss two key free throws that may have helped them win the game, and we'll get into that. They did go on a 10-0 run in the fourth quarter. It was a very back and forth type of game towards the end. And I think one thing that's cool about the preseason is that you get to see guys like Mamukelashvili that flourish when given the chance. And Brooklyn, man, they had their stars lined up in the game. Yeah, they had Harden, KD, Blake Griffin. They had Patty Mills. And then they had guys like James Johnson, Bruce Brown, and Claxton, who I thought were very good players to have. And I thought they played very well in this game. Joe Harris, whew, 5 of 6 from free. This guy is elite. And if he shoots that well in the playoffs, the sky's the limit with this team, honestly. A scary thought that I had when watching this game is, first off, Harden and Mills on the floor at the same time. Yeah, I don't know how you guard that tandem. That tandem is insane, bro. That is insane. And then you have the thinking of Harden and KD on the pick action, okay? KD gives a pick to Harden. Who do you guard at that point? How do you defend that? Right? Is that going to be an even scarier development than having a Curry KD where KD gives a pick to Curry? That we saw how lethal that was, and I think the Harden KD tandem might be even more lethal. Now, the closer of the game. I didn't expect this, but my friend, who's been a fan of the Nets for a long time now, he saw him play in the summer league, and he told me good things about him, and I see why, man. That guy wearing the number 24 jersey, man. I'm happy to see it because, Kobe would be happy. Cam Thomas, man, he played well, and he played well for the low minutes he had towards the end, and he closed out the game, and it was insane. It was really good in front of his home crowd. Obviously, it's a preseason game, so people say, it doesn't matter. But this is a good moment for him to be acclimated in the team, right? I'm pretty sure the Nets are looking to keep a player like Cam Thomas for the long term if anything goes wrong with their star-studded lineup at some point. And now it makes me think that the Atlantic Division is going to be that much more fierce in terms of the competition that it now has to offer, man. And you have teams like Toronto and Philly now that have to be careful because Boston, Brooklyn, and the Knicks even now are getting better, and it's really scary, man. The Atlantic Division is one to watch. And if you want to know more about Toronto and Philly, I'll talk about them in terms of yesterday's game in the preseason and what to look out for and what I'm impressed about already in terms of how the Raptors played because I'm a Raptors fan. So I'm going to talk about my team, you already know. But Philly, they have some strengths and some things to note. And yeah, so if you want to watch that, enjoy yourself. You're going to love it.